Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today I'm going to be fixing the shock tower that broke on my Stampede VXL. It's kind of involved. There's a lot of things you got to take off. So I went ahead and I took out a lot of the screws. That way you're not sitting here watching me undo screws for an hour. But I'll go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do, take the body cover off. Lay that on the side there. Go ahead and pop the tires off. Again, I took off a lot of these already. Save some time. Okay, and then let's go ahead and disconnect the motor, because we're going to have to fish these wires through. So fish these wires through like so. Okay, so go ahead and we can disconnect the shocks from the shock tower itself. And again, I'll show you where I broke it. It's pretty much completely broken off. Alright, so when you got one shock off, screw, it drops down. Go ahead and do the other side. Flip it around. Let's see. There's a screw up on top here. Again, like I said, I loosened these up already, so. Alright, that drops down. Hold on to your screws. Okay, so with this here, there's a screw that holds the turnbuckle on right behind the cover. So we're going to have to take this cover off. So remove this first. And that's in order to get to that screw that's behind here as well. So pop that off. Now you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but there's a screw right behind there. And you can't get to it unless you remove the gear. The spur gear. So, again, I already took those out knowing I was doing this. And then what you got to do is just kind of pry it off carefully. You don't want to break it. And I broke the shock tower jumping ramps, believe it or not. I tend to do that a lot. Okay, so now with that out of the way, now you have access to get that screw down there. Alright. It may be hard for you to see me doing it, but trust me. Oh, this over. There you go. Alright. And that screw came out. That loosens up that off the shock tower. Now we got to do the same thing on this side. This one you have a little bit more clearance. You can see it. There's a lot more clearance on this one. Take that off. Again, put the screw in. Okay. So those are off on both sides. Now what we want to do is take this part off here that it connects to the body. So there's 4 screws, one here, one here, one here, one here. But I took 3 of them out already, again, just to save time. So you want to remove all those 3, and then this one, that'll come off. Okay, getting closer now. So there are 4 screws. I don't know if you can see down there. There's 2 holding on that side and 2 screwed in on this side. You just got to reach down there and unscrew those, and your shock tower will come out. Again, I did all 3 of them already, so this is pretty quick, but it took me a little while the first time. Okay, so this is my shock tower that's busted. So I'll show you here kind of what happened. So as you can see, it's hanging on just by a little piece of plastic. So I was jumping some ramps and I guess it came down a little too hard. There we go, that's that one, that's the old one. Here's a new one. It's the same thing at the Traxxas. I believe it's 3638 If you're looking for a replacement part, that's Traxxas. So there you go. So now we're just going to do that in reverse, and we'll put it back together. You want to make sure too that these pieces, the way that it was sitting on there, these pieces face forward, just so you don't have to take it off again. Okay. All right. Here's my screwdriver here. Okay, now we can hook the turnbuckles back up. It's gonna be a little pain in the butt because they like to move around a little bit, and this can't really see very well either. Sorry about the lighting here. All right. Okay, so trying to get this turnbuckle screwed in, it took me a minute here. Sometimes it's easier to do it with your fingers to get it started. But go ahead and tighten this down. Maybe under this way. Okay, you don't want it too tight either. Okay, good. Alright, now we can get the shock tower back up. Get rid of this light here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'll do my best. Okay. So we got this next shock tower. I'm sorry, the shock to screw into the shock tower. This side here is pretty easy. Alright. Screw that in. Alright, good. Okay, let's turn that around, do the other side. This side's a little bit different now, like I said, because of... Oh, get that out of the way. Because of the motor and the gears. So, this turnbuckle's got to go back there. If you can see it, again, I'll try to show you. There's two holes. It's on the bottom one on this car. You can see it or not. Two holes there. So I'm going to try to get it on the bottom one. I'll be back in a minute here because it does take a little bit of time to get it on. I'll be back. Okay, so I was able to get it started. Just going to go ahead and continue to tighten it down. Alright. Now, what we can do is get the shock tower on. I'm sorry, the shock onto the shock tower. Same thing as the other side. This side's pretty easy too. Again, you don't want to make it too tight, you'll break the plastic, but alright, that's hooked back up. Let's go ahead and get the cover back on. I'm sorry, we gotta get the gear on first. Alright, so you're gonna get the gear on, make sure it lines up right. You have the screw holes that the gear screws into, and then also has to line up to make sure it lines up right. Get the screws here. That's not it. Alright, so there's 3 screws that hold in the spur gear. And I gotta switch to a bigger screwdriver. Stand by. Okay. So there's 3 screws holding this spur gear in. Alright, there's one. And just keep track of your screws. I mean, I know people have extra ones, which is a good idea, but if you don't need it, why waste them? Okay, that's the 3rd one. And again, you just want to make sure everything is looking good. All the gears are lined up right. Okay, we can put the cover back on. And there's 2 screws holding that in. One up top here, if you can see it. Sorry if I keep hitting the camera, it's a pretty tight working area. And then there's another one down here, right down there. Try to do it with the light on, but right down there. Okay, so now you got that. What we can do is bring this around again. Okay, we can hook up these wires here. We can fish them through. There's like a little hole back this way. And sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're hard. And use a screwdriver to pop it up. Maybe. There we go. There's one. There's 2. And there's 3. And then just hook them up just like they were. Blue to blue. Sorry, blue to blue. Yellow to yellow. And then white to white. Okay. There you go. Okay, last thing we want to do here is go ahead and put the body mount on. Again, there's 4 screws holding that in. Let's see if I can turn this a little bit more. There you go. This truck here used the bottom 2 mounting holes. There's one. Make sure they're lined up right. There we go. More. Is that lined up or not? Okay, just getting these screws tightened down. One was not lining up correctly. So I just had to back off on the bottom one a little bit, and I was able to get it in. I mean, take your time. I mean, you don't want to force this stuff, because if you try forcing it, it is plastic and it could break. They do sell the aluminum ones, but they can go for like $30, $35. But it's a good option. I may do that eventually. Alright, we got that back on. Cool. So we should be set to go. Just double check you got everything. You don't have any extra screws laying around. That would be bad. So all we need to do is throw the tires back on. Put some of those hex screws, the hex nuts back on. And we'll be ready to go. There you go. Alright. Thanks guys for watching. Appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe.